This is an opportunity for me to just give a brief update on the facilities workshop. I want to just kind of go over the presentation in video form that you can watch, rewind, call me if you have any questions, but this is an opportunity to kind of get you up to speed on what we would like to accomplish from the administration standpoint with this facilities planning workshop. Our goal is to start a conversation that we believe will take about a year and a half to complete. We have already started out with the approval to move forward with a solicitation for an A&E team, architectural and engineering team that will help us with this facilities master plan or master facilities plan. What we would like to do on the 13th from 4 to 6 is just to begin a conversation with no pressure to make any decisions, but to begin a conversation on what are the key decisions that need to be made. And so I've sent an email out that has areas that we would like to accomplish within this in terms of conditions, grade structure, academic programs, and utilization rate. Again, no decision needs to be made on the 13th, but this is an opportunity to start the conversation, ask relevant questions, seek feedback from stakeholders, and then we will come back and throughout the year begin to answer these questions. So I'd like to just kind of go through. You're going to get from me the administrative agenda so that when you go to the conference, the school board's conference, you have kind of at a glance all the things that the administration would like to accomplish this year and into next year. Again, everything we believe is guided on the 5-year master facilities plan. And so, again, determining minimum conditions that we'd like to see, the grade structure, the purpose of our academic programs. We need your approval on, as we look forward, what we need in 5 years, utilization rates. And that will help us determine our priorities for this, not only this workshop, but future workshops. And then our financing plan. We will need your help on our 8% bond resolution as that comes up. We're bringing to you a website and app update. We want to make sure that we not only have the financing set up, but the timeline set up for the Irmont High School and the Chapin High School stadium construction. Bringing on and onboarding our internal auditor, the general fund, and everything that is associated within that. A concept that I believe will be the headwind, will be a key piece in addressing some of the challenges that we're seeing, particularly in the Irmo sector, called the youth zone, where we nest neighborhoods and put family supports around our students and their families. The salary study that will require a lot of discussion as we look to build our general fund budget. District-wide social and emotional learning platform to address the increases in what we're seeing in terms of student aggression. The legal requirements that we have to have a 30-minute teacher planning, and then our district-wide grading system. This is going to take about 2 years of constant discussion before we have those in place. So I'd like to start off with our 5-year master facilities plan. Our goal is to come up with not only a plan, but a prioritized list of capital projects. And so the plan allows us to cast down 5 years, but from this, we can prioritize our top projects and include that in our 8% annual maintenance, as well as any future bond questions that would come about. And so if we look at what some of these key questions will be, I've identified 7. And again, none of these have to be answered on Monday during the board workshop, but just questions we want to put to you for clarification, for discussion, to get your feedback. Are there additional questions? Are there questions that that we would like to maybe defer. But it all begins with the conditions of the building. What are the minimum conditions we should expect for all facilities? Grade structure. How will District 5 be organized? I believe if there's one question that we can all walk away with an understanding on Monday of how we answer this, it's number two. How will District 5 be organized? What is the rezoning redistricting plan? It is very difficult to tackle rezoning and redistricting without addressing the structure, how we are organized. Um, what comes first? Everybody debates is the chicken or the egg. Organization comes first. Grade structure comes first. Then rezoning, redistricting comes after. And then we can look at enrollment analysis and projections. Our academic purpose. Academics drive the utilization of program capacity of our schools. Serving the students in the programs that we're trying to serve at those schools. Our teams, our principals are looking to the future. What will we need in 5 years? What will that model look like, and how do we prepare now to meet those areas? And then something I think that we have to, whether it's a policy or practice, I have to talk about our utilization rate. It's defined as the number of students over the maximum capacity. There'll be discussion: is that max capacity / core, or is that program capacity? And program capacities can move; they can change. So I think, to be fair to our community and the constituency that you represent, using the core max capacity allows us to have a static number that we all understand what that means. And so, as we're talking about this, there's some key definitions. Condition of building. Right now, what we have is excellent, good, fair, and poor, and this came from the MBCon report. But we're going to start over. We're going to look for with our A&E team. They're going to come up with a rating scale different. When one is selected, they're not going to use the same condition of building rating scales. So we look forward to giving feedback on what we would like to see included. I'll give suggestions. You may have additional suggestions that we can provide so that we are ensured that we have good ratings and understandings of the conditions of the buildings. We're going to talk about core capacity. Core capacity includes all the areas: cafeterias, gyms, multipurpose. That's that number, what the enrollment is designed for. That's the max. And so we want to make sure, even in this presentation, I've been saying max capacity or core, but it's core capacity. Not to be confused with program capacity. And that changes. That's based on the instructional outcome. So, for instance, a building may be designed for 1,200 students core capacity. However, if that school serves a high special education population, the square footage needed for students with special needs, ID students, which is intellectually disabled students, autism students, they need more square footage than your general ed student. So that school may be full and not at 1,200, right? That's program capacity. ADA, it's that's the attendance, average daily attendance that we look at of about who's in that building, which is different from ADM. And ADM is that weighting. So that gives you an idea of what not every student is weighted the same. So in the public, we say, well, there's 560 something students at that school, 563 students. I'm making something up. But not every student is weighted the same, and they have different programmatic needs. So ADM allows you to see just, well, this school has more students in poverty, more special education, uh, more AP. These go to that program capacity. Head count is just a number, right? And we can look at funded or unfunded. And I think a lot of people look at enrollment or head count and look at head count over core capacity, and that's how we make decisions. I would suggest that is ill advised. That doesn't put our schools in the best position. And then we have reporting dates. We will report, we can make decisions based on our funding on our 45th day and our 135th day of school. The 135th day is how we put our budget together. The 45th day is how we make any corrections. And so that's why those dates are so important. Other key definitions is the gross square footage of the building. And gross square footage is the total heating and cooling of a building. So that is the conditioned space. But it doesn't include roof lines. It doesn't include acreage, right? So uh, we may have 3.8 million heating conditioned space that we heat and cool, but that's not the total of all of our roofs and our acreages that we have to maintain. And then you see here an example of just kind of how buildings change. You see Dutch Fork, a part of Dutch Fork Elementary School in 1953, how that building is laid out as an elementary school versus Piney Woods in 2021, and how that building is laid out. And so the differences in conditions are existing based on the models of buildings. So these key definitions just kind of help us understand what we're examining as these words are being thrown out through the presentation. So let's start out with defining the minimum conditions. In 2019, the MBCOM report was released that rated facilities on poor, fair, good, and excellent. And you can see the location of those buildings. We're going to start all over again. We're going to start from scratch. The A&E team that uh, will be approved by the board. Will That team will bring their own rating system, and we can prioritize from that rating system. At the workshop, all we would like to do is just kind of get your input on what needs to be included. They may already include everything that we have. And so from the administration, we looked at Greenville. I talked to Burt Royster, the superintendent of Greenville, about their plan. We had Dave Wiseman and Alan Knotts in our operations. Talked to them about, they've been through this process. And they have a rating scale looking at architecture of the site, the building envelope, structural and mechanical infrastructure, electrical and plumbing. You may have heard about assessments at Nursery Road Elementary with raw sewage issues, right? So all of the infrastructure is assessed, and then there's a rating for each one of those. We look at security, compliance with fire code, and active and passive security, life safety, environmental quality, including HVAC, mold issues, accessibility, and ADA, and even lighting and acoustics. That has an impact on the achievement and well-being of our students. And so all of that, these are things that we would like to see included. And so we're going to be just talking with you about, are there other things that you would like to see included in the rating scale? Again, no decisions have to be made at the workshop, but these are some minimum conditions that we just would like and then considered. And so an overall rating scale will be produced. And from that rating scale, we can prioritize what are the areas that we would need to address. The next piece is our structure. And again, if there's one thing I would like us to really put a focus on Monday is, how do we structure the district? No one else can help us with this but us. This is our decision. This is the current structure. We have about this is the flow of students in District 5. We have district-wide programs with Spring Hill, the Center for Advanced Technical Studies, Academy for Success, Adult Ed, and 5. And then we have about 9, I'm counting 9 different grade structures flowing in a variety of ways. What This is very unique and inefficient and very costly. There's a lot of duplication of services. There's a lot of inefficiency in training. Um, and I believe, especially in the Irmo and Dutch Fork area, we are not able to vertically articulate our curriculum and our interventions because of what we see in this crossroads model. So what the administration will bring to you is a proposal of a new grade structure of 5 levels. This is a proposed grade structure for your review. The 5 levels of the proposed grade structure will move from 9 levels to 5 levels. Level 1 is early childhood. This is our 3K and 4K programs. And I just want to remind you that while some of our 3K, 4K programs are, we're not required to have those. We do, by law, by the Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act, IDEA, we are required to serve those students that come from our BabyNet services. So we have special education students as early as 3K that we have to serve. So we have to have a grade structure for early childhood. The next one is elementary. I believe that all elementary should be K-5 throughout the district. Again, this will allow a better utilization of our teachers and administrative structure supports, professional development, and could allow some consolidation of services there. Middle schools are being proposed to be all 6th through 8th grades, and high schools will remain 9th through 12th grades, with our district-wide programs remaining as the Academy for Success, Adult Ed, Center for Advanced Technical Studies, and the 5 program. So this is the proposed grade structure. And again, we will take questions and discussions on this on Monday, but I wanted you to see what is being proposed. If we approve that grade structure, and that's not being required to be approved on Monday, the February 13th, but to be discussed. But once we can set our grade structure, then grade structure precedes redistricting. This is our current district map. As you can see, from Piney Woods to Seven Oaks. This shows you the elementary boundary system, and so we're going to talk a little bit on Monday about how this came to be, and some of the history. We'll touch on it very briefly, but the goal is to present with you if the grade structure, the 5 level grade structure, is approved, then we would like to move to this districting plan. And this districting plan, I want to give you an opportunity to just kind of take it in as I talk about it. But the districting plan allows us to create community schools. And so if we look at the lowest level, the early childhood level, you see this is where we currently have 3 and 4K programs. So those schools will continue to house those 3 and 4K programs. Chapin L, Dutch Fork L, H.E. Corley, Harbison West, Irmo Elementary, and River Springs. In terms of the elementary level, it will be proposed that Chapin Elementary and Piney Woods Elementary, those two elementary schools, will end up going to Chapin Middle. Chapin Middle, as being the old Chapin Middle School, the current Chapin Intermediate will be converted to Chapin Middle. As you notice, in this level system, there are no intermediate schools. So Chapin Intermediate would be converted back to Chapin Middle School, and Chapin Elementary and Piney Woods K through 5 would go into a 6 through 8 Chapin Middle School. That would flow into Chapin High School. Now, as the growth in Chapin continues, we have to address that. And so instead of building a new elementary school in Chapin, we will commandeer, so to speak, Ballantyne Elementary, meaning that's where rezoning would take place, where we would look at taking students out of Ballantyne and putting them back into the Dutch Fork elementary schools, so that more Chapin students can be balanced between Lake Mary Elementary and Ballantyne. So all of Chapin elementary school students will be balanced between 4 schools: Piney Woods, Chapin Elementary, Lake Mary Elementary, and Ballantyne Elementary. Lake Mary and Ballantyne will flow into Spring Hill Middle. Where's Spring Hill Middle? Spring Hill Middle is the current Chapin Middle. This proposal will be renaming the current Chapin Middle to Spring Hill Middle, as it's right there on the Spring Hill site. And again, Chapin Intermediate would turn it back into Chapin Middle School. And if we look at in Dutch Fork, flowing into Dutch Fork would be Oak Point Elementary, River Springs Elementary, Dutch Fork Elementary, and and H.E. Corley Elementary. So H.E. Corley, Dutch Fork Elementary, River Springs Elementary, and Oak Point would flow into Dutch Fork, going into Dutch Fork High School. We would propose taking Crossroads and converting it into a middle school. If you look at what we're looking at in the Eastern District of our attendance zone, we need, and we are learning a lot from our NEST opportunities, that we really need to focus in and put concentrated resources around our most needy students. And really large middle schools are not allowing us to do that. And so by creating a Crossroads Middle School, we would take Seven Oaks Elementary, Leapart Elementary, and Harbison West Elementary above I-26. Above I-26. If I go back and show you here, you can see the Seven Oaks area here at the end in the gray, the Leapart in that teal, and then Harbison West is that purple. But above the red line, above I-26, that would be theoretically going to a Crossroads Middle School. Crossroads Middle School. Now below 26, in that purple of Harbison West, the Irmo Elementary and Nursery Road Elementary, that would go into Irmo Middle. And so this process would allow more manageable middle schools where they would be community focused. It allows articulation between the elementary, middle, and high. And at the high school level, Chapin High, Dutch Fork High, and Irmo High would continue to have zoned students, and Spring Hill High School would continue to be a magnet, serve as a magnet. The question, Dr. Ross, how is it that you will be able to empty or create room in Chapin High without zoning Spring Hill? And we have talked with the principal of Spring Hill Middle, oh, I'm sorry, principal of Spring Hill High School, and even the middle schools in Chapin about a potential submagnet at a proposed Spring Hill Middle, which will allow more students to go into Spring Hill High School, thus relieving the tension on Chapin High. But in order to do that, we would need new construction of because Spring Hill needs its entire building. Right now, it's we have the Academy for Success, and so it will be the request of the administration to build a new Dutch Fork Elementary School in Dutch Fork's current attendance zone. By doing that, we take the old Dutch Fork Elementary School and put the Academy for Success, Adult Ed, in 5. Clearing room at Irmo High, at Spring Hill High, and at Piney Woods, where 5 is currently in Piney Woods, Adult Ed is currently at Irmo High, and Academy for Success is currently at Spring Hill. So that's a lot to take in, but this would be the proposed grade structure and redistricting for School District 5. And so there'll be a lot of discussion on this. There'll be a lot of feedback, and we just wanted to be able to put this up for discussion, initial discussion. No decisions needed to be made at the workshop, but just to be able to present this and hear your thoughts and concerns. And then we'll talk a little bit about our 5-year instructional priorities. We are working on these as the academics department and Ms. Miller and her team, along with Sarah Wheeler, as we look at our new magnets. Kind of what does 2.0, instruction 2.0 look like? What's the future? Do we still want kids in rows and desks and rows, or are we looking at new learning spaces? Education is changed, and it is harder now to put 25 students in desks and rows and be able to deliver quality instruction. We need a lot more hands-on. We need spaces. If you look at the design and the outcomes, we're not necessarily in the knowledge economy. We're in the creation economy, the innovation economy. And so it is about creation, about content production. And so our students know any answer to any question they can get on this device. And so the lecture format is you'll see falling away in terms of instruction. And so we want to make sure that as we talk about our facility needs, we are looking to the future, but also considering what we're seeing right now in the present in terms of the work that needs to be done in our school classrooms. And then the last piece, which is really something we have to address, and we need your guidance, and that's that school occupancy threshold. I've just talked about we're moving away from lecture, but I use this graph, this chart as a way of just kind of showing, let's say, a typical hallway that would have, classrooms on it. And this particular hallway, in the top example of an 80% occupancy rate, has 10 rooms. And you have 8 of them are being used for assigned to a teacher as a So it can be English or math or social studies or science or um, world language, what have you. And then two are for labs, and those labs can be a robotics lab, it can be a physics lab, it can be an art lab, science lab, but it's something that enriches the educational outcomes of our students. But if we move to 100% occupancy rate, we start to lose the labs for lectures, for assigned classrooms. And that's where I think we lose the quality, the high quality of our educational programs, is when we start to take away those extra learning spaces. As we think about our gifted and talented, and even our students who need, who are struggling learning, they need these lab spaces to reconnect in with more concrete examples of some of the abstract topics that we talk about. So if we look at a 90% occupancy rate, you still are taking away labs, and so you may have one lab, but instead of an art and a science lab, you're making a decision of what to have. And it's just an understanding that not all students are weighted the same. So not all lecture classrooms are going to have the same number of students in it. Some you can put 25 students in. Others, by Title One, you can only put 18 students in there. If the students are ED, you can only put 12 in there. And so, based on the number of in the weights of the students, that changes. This is important to know, so that when we talk about head count, there's such a story behind the story because of the weights that all of the students have uh, when they come to our schools and those needs that they have. So, what are we going to be looking for? We're going to be talking about what's the desired size of student enrollment that we would want at an early childhood program, at a elementary school. How big would we want our future elementary schools to be, our future middle schools to be, our future high schools to be? And then what is the desired utilization rate? We'll set as an administration between 80 and 85, no higher than 85% utilization rate. But we would like to be at 80. And there may be a floor that's considered. You know, we close a school when the utilization rate falls below X percent. So these are things that, again, are for your discussion, your review, as we work with our A&E team to do community analysis. We have things that are coming, a lot of development in Chapin, but also in Irmo. The Saluda Greenway project is coming, looking at the facility needs assessment, enrollment projections, which includes birth rates and move-in rates and developments, our instructional plan review, and all of these will be a part of our master facility plan. So we look forward to Monday's discussion, your questions, your feedback, just to give you a kind of an idea of our timeline. We know that we have a $15 million bond resolution. This is our annual maintenance. And so we have to make decisions on what do we want to do with that round of money, what priorities. And so in our solicitation that we will have responses in May and in August. We should have some feedback on when these plans are due. So we look forward to getting that information just in time to work on a bond resolution. We talked about, do we go for a potential bond question in fall of 23 to alleviate any issues of over growth at Chapin High School in fall of 24. And I think it's it may be the recommendation of the administration to take our time, fully develop our 5-year plan, and maybe look to fall of 2024 for any possible bond questions that would go to the commission, election commission. And so we will also talk about, if we did go for a bond referendum in 2023, we'll show you options. We may not get to this part on Monday, but I wanted to show you here. We talked to PFM, our financial advisor, to look at, without increasing taxes, what we could do. And so if we were to go for a bond referendum in 2023, we can get up to $180 million for our projects. And so without raising the debt service tax. So that'd be 3 issuances of bonds at $60 million. And the question is, well, Dr. Ross, last time you talked about it was 150. You have to understand that every year that we don't issue referendum debt, we're paying off more debt. So our ability, so imagine having a credit card and you're not spending on it, but you're paying down the interest and principal. So your credit limit, your ability to borrow more increases. And so that's if that would be the option if there was a 2023 bond referendum. If we did a 2023 bond referendum and wanted to increase taxes, 10 mills, we can get $280 million. So there would be 2 installments of $90 million and 1 installment of $100 million. That would be a $60 increase on property for, that was valued at $150,000. So I think that's a tax assessment property rate, but we'll have Madison clear that up. So that kind of gives you an idea of how much that would cost the taxpayer if we went up 10 mills to get $280 million. If we waited to 2024 and had no tax increase, we could get up to $194 million. Be 2 installments of $60 million and 1 installment of $74 million. And again, the debt service would stay the same. So this is just to kind of give you options. If we did a 10 mil increase in 2024, again, you would see that would be a tax increase, but you would be able to borrow up to $282 million in a referendum. So just want to show you these options for financing. Again, I'll be available for questions if you have any questions or concerns or thoughts before Monday's meeting. But I wanted you to have this in kind of video form so that we could be able to have a very robust and quality, effective conversation on Monday at 4 p.m. at the Kate Center for our workshop. Again, thank you for your service to our community and our students, our staff. We appreciate it. We know it's unsung work, and we stand here as administration in partnership with you so that we can achieve our mission of loving and growing all students. Thank you.